Welcome to This Week in Guns, a podcast that covers the commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz, brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challen from Gun Guy Radio, and you make this show possible. That's right, you. Simply click through our Amazon affiliate link the next time you're shopping online, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. Well, we have a great set of panelists this week. We have Josh Cast of Four Guys Guns. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Jake. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
We have Natalie Foster, Girls Guide to Guns. Hey, Natalie.
Hey, Jake. How are you?
Doing great. And we have Adam Kraut, Firearms Industry Consulting Group, a division of Prince Law Offices. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Jake. How you doing?
Doing great. So we're doing the show a night early because we're most of us are heading down to Nashville to the National Rifle Association's annual meetings here. So we're all going to be probably getting up pretty early. So this might be a little bit shorter of a show. But how are you guys looking forward to the show? Natalie, you're going, and Josh, you're going?
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's always like a big family reunion where you get to see all your favorite people. I mean, and some people you don't like, too, but, you know. The good ones far outweigh the bad.
Well, that's like an authentic family reunion, right?
Yeah, indeed. That's exactly right.
All right, a few announcements before we get going. Don't forget to join the Firearms Radio Network Gunrunner team at the next Tough Mudder event here in Chicagoland, coming up here in just a few weeks in May the 9th, I believe, without looking at the date. You can go to toughmudder.com and look at the Chicago event. If you're interested in joining us on the Gunrunner team, email Carol at our Fat to Fit podcast, Carol at fattofithq.com. Well, let's get right into the top stories for this week. Study shows gun deaths surpass vehicle deaths in 17 states.
Go Adam. It's all you.
Well, with statistics, always the first question is who's publishing the statistics and how was the study done? The article said that it was obviously published by the Violence Policy Center, and we all know where they stand on guns, so that would immediately call into question the statistics that they utilized. That said, looking at what they had listed, they're saying they got it from the CDC, and the article...
Also not exactly a bastion of gun rights.
Sure, yeah.
Proponent.
You know,
right.
Looking at the numbers that guns.com has, the nationwide gun death total was actually lower than the motor vehicles. Additionally, I'd be curious to know in what instances these firearms deaths, what they were caused by. Was it suicide? Was it murder? Was it, somebody shooting a gun off at a target that wasn't intended? These are all things that aren't spoken to in just numbers. Likewise with a vehicle, was it a suicide? There was a gentleman I went to high school with that committed suicide in a vehicle. There's all kinds of different things that just aren't spoken to in sheer numbers.
That was my first impression too, especially when you see Alaska, which I believe is one of the highest states for suicides as well, due to the massive amount of time you have daylight versus sunlight. It seems like cherry picking and fun plays on words, but I would definitely be curious to see exactly how they're pitching this, because it doesn't sit right at all without saying the suicide aspect. That was the first thing I thought of as well.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, later on in the article, at the very end, guns.com adds that suicides often account for roughly 2/3 of all gun deaths. So, I mean, they're talking about all gun deaths here, suicides, people shot by police, bad guys, gangbangers shooting each other, stuff like that, which is going to happen no matter what, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what they're trying to ascertain with this published study here, or what they're claiming anyway. They're saying that study shows gun deaths. Well, is your stance just guns are dangerous, or is it guns in the wrong hands are dangerous? I mean, what stance are you taking? Again, you can twist figures any way you really want, depending upon how you utilize them.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when they throw the whole figure in like this, that they're really after just all guns. All guns are bad. All gun, if we just get rid of all guns, we'll all be safe. Only cars will kill us then. So, all right. Well, let's move on to Obama says he hasn't given up on gun control yet. So, yet. That's right. Natalie, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I actually got nervous about this one. I read this today, and it made me nervous only in light of the Iran deal that's going on right now. That is so absurd, and it is so blatantly, anti-everything safe and wise. And so I'm really concerned about what, really what's concerning me the most about, sorry, I'm getting autoplay ads right now, which is driving me crazy. Anyway, so what is really concerning to me is that he is going around Congress, right? I mean, he is doing everything he can on this Iran deal to go around Congress. And this seems to be his MO, I think, the next 2 years. I mean, he's just going to jam everything through like he did with the healthcare law. Of course, that was so early in his presidency that he had to have Congress. I mean, which he didn't, but he got it through anyway. And anyway, that makes me nervous. I think this is we're going to be executive ordered to death, and hopefully we'll have enough good guys in Congress to fit it, and hopefully. I mean, the next guy's going to have a major, major mess to clean up. So those are my thoughts when I read all that today. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's going to sound terrible, and I think, so just everyone who's listening know this from the get-go. There is no malicious intent or any kind of stomping on a grave. But listen, Sandy Hook happened. Sandy Hook was a very trying day for me as a father. And as a gun owner, especially someone who didn't go through a lot of the gun rights battles of the the 90s and the 80s and the 60s. I mean, this was all relatively new to me, and it really made me take a good hard look at how do I stand, where do I stand when it comes to things like gun control, especially when children. I could look in my son's eyes and I could see that child was there. However, this country and this world is unfortunately a lot larger than those unfortunate children. And when we have so many stories in the news, like we've had with Kenya, with Somalia, with all these different countries that are having 26, 51, 79, all these children, Christians, Jews, name the minority, dying, it's kind of more of a perspective shift where you're like, because we can yell louder about dead children, that justifies, changing how we view and perceive, laws and safety versus there's people dying in the droves at some sort of genocidal maniac's whim, and you don't hear them saying, let's kind of increase or decrease, any kind of safety or gun control measures. That's not the case. So yeah, I don't doubt for a second that was the worst day of his presidency, the worst week of his presidency. Hell, I would even believe that was the worst week or month or years of his life. Same with 9/11 with George Bush. Same with the Cole bombing with Clinton. Same with all these things. Every president goes through something. So to try and change a constitution, to try and change a fundamental right on which a country was founded, to change anything based on one instance, to me screams, I don't know what I'm doing. And every approach he has taken clearly shows he doesn't know what he's doing, but it creates a lot of uproar, and it creates holes, and it creates backdoor, opportunities. And I mean, I'm really curious what Adam says, because I mean, he knows more of the ins and outs of some of this stuff that he's doing, and I just don't put any stock in Obama ever getting any kind of traction, simply because he doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to stuff like this, and he doesn't know how to combat it, and so he just tries to play on the liberal heartstrings.
Wow. Yeah, I
Sorry.
beg to differ with you on the point of he doesn't know what he's doing.
Thank you.
As we all are aware, Sandy Hook was obviously a horrible tragedy perpetrated by a mentally ill individual, and which point, Obama and a number of other individuals tried to hold gun owners as a whole responsible for it. However, to say he doesn't know what he's doing, I think is a little. I don't think it's correct. You look at his administration; they've systematically been attempting to, tear apart different parts of the Constitution. You look at Operation Fast and Furious; they ran guns to Mexico. They got a border agent, Brian Terry. He was killed. They tried to cover it up. Eric Holder was indicted. You have Obama taking executive actions in order to further his agenda, walking behind Congress. And while it's true, yes, other presidents have used executive actions to accomplish an agenda, I don't think it's ever been seen in the magnitude which Obama does it. It's creating a very dangerous precedent for all of us, really, regardless of whether it's the guy we want in office or the guy that we don't want in office. Being able to just willy-nilly legislate because I'm president and I say so, and when Congress has that authority, is incredibly dangerous for our Constitution. That said, Sandy Hook obviously was a tragedy. I feel that those families, to some degree, even if they do believe that, yes, as a parent, I lost a child, and I don't think people should own guns. I think they were, to some degree, taken advantage of by the administration and politicians who were looking to further their agenda. And they were playing off the emotions of these people who obviously just went through a horrible tragedy.
Well, and we see that repeated again and again, anti-gun groups taking advantage of the families and victims themselves, unfortunately. So this kind of leads into our next story here. Gun control losing because Americans refuse to feel guilty over self-defense. And that seems like that's kind of the stance a lot of these groups are taking, is that they're trying to make all gun owners feel guilty because we own these evil guns that were used in this horrible situation, and somehow we should feel guilty and get rid of our guns because of that.
Guns are the new iPod, man. That's just what it boils down to. Is that the more they make it seem like this thing, it's like smoking. I mean, remember when they taxed it, they threw a death stamp on it, they threw all these things, and it just increased. It's all they're really doing every time. And now I feel like Adam's gonna be like, you're wrong. But I mean, it's like the more they come at it, it's it's like trying to find a girlfriend when you've been single for 3 years. The harder you look, the less likely you are to find one. So it's like the harder they try and stress it, the more I think America is gonna go back to the basics and be like, no, screw you, we're doing this.
I didn't say you were wrong. I said I disagreed with your point.
No, and I understand. I'm not trying to take that personally. I'm hurt. I'm just breaking stones. That's all. You're very good at that. So
I tell you that for me as a gun owner, my quick background, I didn't grow up in a house that had guns. I learned to shoot guns in Boy Scouts. That was the first time I ever shot a gun. I had this stupid grin that's never left my face since. And if anything, this constant attack on our Second Amendment rights, which are just codified by the Constitution, they're pre-existing rights. It's solidified my stance that I'm going to own guns. And if anything, now you've pushed me into a career field where I get to play with laws, and not only that, now I get to argue to further gun rights for not only Pennsylvanians, but hopefully to some degree on a federal level as well.
What are
Adam for president.
I got a few other people I'd recommend before me, but I'll certainly go and hang out there.
Well, like what? Senator? You could be a secretary of something.
We're voting Ebbs for 2016.
Oh, right. I forgot. Yeah. No, first of all, I love Greg Gutfeld, and I really, really resonate with most of what he says. I think he's very in touch with kind of our generation and below, and what we think and feel. It very much like Andrew Breitbart was, and they were contemporaries, so that makes a lot of sense. But anyway, I'm just heartened by the fact that it's true. There's this inverse relationship between how hard the media pushes, as Whitey was saying, to how much people just love guns, and I think that's it's just, to me, speaks so loud and clear that American spirit is alive and well, and they do understand that this is a God-given right, as Adam mentioned. It doesn't come from anybody else. It just happens to be protected better in the U.S. than any other place in the world. So anyway, I just cheering Greg on that one.
A solid majority of African Americans support gun ownership.
Good.
Shocking.
Yeah.
I know. Should we be surprised at this? I mean, it's
well, and that may come across as a little racist, but
right. I mean,
for the past 3 or 4 years, and Natalie knows this as well, and I'm sure she's going to have something to say about it. The two highest demographics of rising gun ownership have been women, and they categorize this as minorities. Especially in Detroit, which is where this is mainly focused, this is not surprising. I mean, really?
Right.
Like, who wouldn't in Detroit be in favor of having some sort of self-defense?
Yeah.
The people who ran Detroit into the ground?
Touche, sir.
You ever see the Michael Moore documentary? Which one was the one? Was it? It wasn't Bowling for Columbine, was it? No, it was. I doubt any of you watched any Michael Moore movies. I don't even know why I'm asking. Did you see this? Where he sat down and he talked about the fact that or he sat down with the mayor and said, "Do you think capitalism has killed your city?" And he said, "Absolutely. We're a perfect example of capitalism killing." Oh my gosh, it was the most painful. I screamed at the TV because it was clearly socialist policies that drove it into the ground, and corruption, of course. But anyway, sorry, just a little caveat on those people that drove Port Detroit into the ground, because if you have ever been there, it is heartbreaking, because you can see that it was once a great city, something really, really cool. And man, it is now, it's one big meth lab, basically. It's really, really heartbreaking. Anyway, so yeah, they do need their guns because they need to protect themselves. And it frustrates me that anybody differentiates. Well, I mean, I guess we just do that in this country, but, black people need guns too. I mean, it drives me crazy that that's even a question, a thing. And that they're not brainwashed by the Al Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons of the world. So.
Well, I mean, it's kind of common sense here that if you look at the high crime areas in most cities and you look at the demographics, generally it's going to lean towards the minorities are going to be the higher demographic in higher crime area places. So I mean, there's a lot of people there that want to have the right to protect themselves, because obviously there's a lot of danger just outside their door.
That's right.
So Navy vet has 28 guns confiscated amid a faulty allegation. So this Navy vet had a disagreement with his neighbor. His neighbor had like a landscaping company or something. He was illegally parking oversized dump trucks and stuff on the street in the cul-de-sac, right by his house and everything. And so he filed a complaint about that. And then later on, he had other like landscaping supplies or dump trucks that were leaking, I guess, what he thought might be toxic waste, and he called the cops on that. Well, a little bit later on, just summing up what happened here, is his neighbor said, oh, well, he threatened to shoot me, or he threatened, me with his guns. And so through a court order, this Navy veteran had, 28 firearms confiscated. And then there's an accompanying story here where the Second Amendment Foundation has taken on this guy's case.
Yeah, that's that's not okay. Especially given, it looks like it was a PFA, which is what caused these to be taken, and now you have. It appears that you're lacking any kind of due process. This guy had no chance to tell his side of the story.
What's a PFA?
Protection from abuse order, and it's an interesting story because there's something similar that happened here in Pennsylvania not too long ago, in which this guy's girlfriend kind of did the same thing. Said that he had threatened her, and the sheriffs waited for him to arrive home, and they confiscated all of his guns. They confiscated 306 guns out of this guy's house, and then found a couple days later that the PFA, the temporary PFA or restraining order. Sorry, I forget that everybody else calls it a restraining order. That they determined it wasn't valid, and this guy had to pay $1,200 to the sheriffs to get his guns back, which should never have been taken from him in the first place. So it seems that the guy out here in Arizona is in a very similar situation, except his guns are still in the possession of the authorities, and I'm glad that somebody stepping up to bat to go to bat for him.
Yeah, and he's actually a disabled Navy vet, and he was he had to. Looks like he had to retire or
That's right. He was disabled in Desert Storm. I don't know. He went back after Desert Storm, right?
Yeah, something like it. And then it got so bad, something to do with his back, it got so bad that he had to retire from his job as well. So, and he has limited mobility and everything. So, yeah, just I don't know.
I'd be pretty BS if one of my neighbors made a complaint and they came to take my guns. I'd probably be on the news.
They did. They had a similar situation in California as well. They took San Diego, a man down in San Diego. They took about 100 of his. I mean, they took all of his, which numbered about 100. And so I just think it's interesting that Pennsylvania, Arizona, California, and Arizona is a good gun state, right? So I don't know. It's just pretty interesting that it's happening. I wonder what stories we haven't heard, that the Second Amendment Foundation or other organizations haven't taken up, and it's really disconcerting. But I'm glad that there's precedent now that they come back. So did the Pennsylvania man? So he had to pay $1,200. So what's the status on his situation? I mean, is he going to get back or?
Well, I believe he did get the guns back. I mean, the story was posted on the 2nd, so we're talking not terribly long ago. He had to go retrieve them from the courthouse. He rented a U-Haul to do it, and I believe it took him and deputies about 6 hours to move all the guns out back, into at least the U-Haul, and for him to take them home and put them back. But they were apparently all over his house. He had, wall hangers, all kinds of stuff, and it says the sheriff and his team spent more than 6 hours recording and loading guns, along with enough ammunition to fill half a large trash can. Not quite the ammo stash I'd want to have for all those guns, but
yeah,
just the amount of time. You got to remember, they showed up with a number of deputies. It wasn't a sheriff and a deputy. Right. It was a bunch of people. So.
Well, and the other problem here is is the fact that his name is out there, right?
No, that is the one thing that the article they did say. The sheriff did not release his name for fear of exactly just that. That criminals would look this guy up, and now he'd be a target of constant theft and burglary and whatever else would come his way.
And the good news is that all the government agencies are totally hack-proof. So, he's safe.
Yeah, I know.
So the thing that would bother me is when you have something like this. I mean, I've heard and maybe I'm way off base, but I've heard of people like once something like this goes in the system, now he's basically going to have an even harder time if and when it's all lifted, buying anything in the future outside of a private sale.
Interesting.
It would depend on I guess Arizona is a NICS state. I don't know. Pennsylvania, we're a point of contact state, so we have the state police, and they maintain their own database, and then they contact the National Instant Check System. But they should take care of that at either level. If it's a point of contact state, it should be taken care of. But again, sometimes it requires the intervention of a lawyer to get the record straightened out, which is costly to the individual, and it's it should be unnecessary because we're talking about somebody's constitutional right.
This is why I'm an advocate for having a hidden room, hidden compartment, something where, oh yeah, those are all my guns. No, I don't have any more.
You have a backyard, don't you?
Yeah, but I don't want to dig up my backyard every time I want to go shoot. Yeah, just
drawers. That's the new thing, right? Have you seen those safes that are so cool that are just in like your chest of drawers?
Yeah, it's funny. I was at the thrift store and I saw this really cool display cabinet, like glass shelves and mirrored and built-in lighting and everything. I'm like, wonder if that has any hidden compartments in it.
There you go.
Remington launching new alloy frame.
Oh gosh, Jake, you have to bring up Remington. I mean, good Lord.
I skipped over the Starfest of Ruger, but
go ahead. Just let Whitey go off. You already said Remington.
So yeah, it's not the R38 or it's the RM380. What happened to the R51 is what I'm asking. So this is an all steel framed, 380. They're I don't know, going after the Ruger LC 380. What do they call their 380s? I'm sorry.
LCP. They have the LCP.
They do have an LC 380 too.
No, the LCP is the 380.
No, they have an LC 380. It's the same size as the LC 9.
Yeah, well, I have both of them, and the LC 9 is just slightly larger.
Okay.
But yeah, so I have the 380, and then my husband has the LC 9, and then they have the LCR. But everybody else hates Ruger, so I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Well, this is what we heard. Not this SHOT Show, but last SHOT Show. The Firearms Radio Network. We were told by Remington that they were launching full force into the handgun market. That's where they were branching out into. And then they had the R51 debacle, and so that kind of put a lid on that for a while.
Can you recap that for me and the other audience members who don't know what you're talking about?
The R51 debacle?
Yeah, what was the debacle?
It was SHOT Show 2014. It was this big, huge debut release, and apparently it failed in the morning session of range day. All of them failed, or one of them failed catastrophically, so to speak. So they took all of them off the line, and they went back to the drawing board, and then they didn't release, and they did release it, and then they recalled, I guess, whoever did buy them. Any dealers already had them on order, scrapped sort of the whole design, but then went to re-release it again in 2015, right, Jake?
Supposedly they're re-releasing it, and you can look. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there of reviewers that got the first revision of the R51 and how terrible it is. Pins walking out of it, and just a lot of malfunctions and not pleasant, things happening to them. So, and then I don't know. They didn't do an official recall on it, did they? Is this where they just kind of silently?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that now they just threw me under the bus with chaos and trauma, because I have no beef with Remington. No, that was them that laid into Remington, not me.
No. I know. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about subsequent. That was a disaster. Subsequent discussions. But
Oh.
you and Chaos don't particularly care for this company. Am I mistaken?
So I'll be the first to say that honest to God, I've tried several Remingtons, and they've always been, shotguns or rifles. I've never tried a Remington pistol. I think if they're going to go into the pistol market, they should probably do something that a million other people haven't already done in a similar platform, shape, design, whatever that everyone else has already done. I think it's day late, dollar short. Only in this case, it's $10 in a week. It's just not something that's like, oh my God, thank God, Remington came out with a 380. Oh my God, let me go cash all my checks.
What you're not considering is brand loyalty. Because I spoke to a guy the other day. I was in a baby store looking at all the big crap that you got to buy. And the guy and I had this conversation about Remington. And he loves Remington because, I don't know, an emotional connection from early on in his childhood.
How old was he?
All right.
I call shenanigans.
Dude, his name was John. He works at Bye Bye Baby in Albuquerque. Feel free to. He drives a green Explorer. Go visit him.
Oh my God! Did you really just put this guy on blast? Natalie told me to come find you to talk about Remington and how you.
He will.
In
He's
baby
very
clothes.
chatty. He's very, very chatty. Anyway, all that to say that I'm telling you, people love Remington. Like, some people just love the company. I mean, some people just love Smith or, Beretta or whatever. It's okay if they do it again. I mean, okay, here's the thing. If Michael Kors makes a wedge that is really cute and looks just like Prada's, I'm probably going to go buy Michael Kors because I like it better. The price is friendlier. I'm saying they can all do the same thing. They all do the same thing. It's about brand loyalty. Do you like the PX4? Do you like the P9? I mean, just pick one. You know what I mean?
If you actually look in the article, there is a link to the P51 Buck Rogers pistol. They take like edge melding or blending to like a whole new level with this thing. It's like a squirt gun that got made into metal.
All right, I skipped a story here. Let's go back to Ruger buys back $2.8 million of its stock. Was that
there it is?
This is the one where I was like, I'm not even listening to this. Let somebody else handle this snorefest.
I haven't read it.
It's not even 0.5% of their outstanding shares.
Right.
Hey, this is This Week in Guns news. I'm trying to share.
Even Wall Street Journal and Forbes didn't touch this. That's how low this ranks. It's like,
okay, so why would they do this then? Well, they wouldn't touch gun stuff anyway. But why would they buy it back? 0.4% of their outstanding shares.
Well, to drive up the shares for their existing shareholders, and possibly, I'm curious if Ruger has a long-term plan of buying their company back completely and taking it private again.
Interesting.
That would be interesting. It may cost them. Maybe we should all buy some stock in Ruger and just be the ones that hold out to the end. I have one share and I'm not selling it back. I can't be a majority shareholder. I can't do anything, but I have this share and you can't have it.
Just to be contrarian, that sounds fun.
So, and I say that because they repurchased a lot more shares. Let's see here, in the fourth quarter last year, they purchased back 680,000 shares of stock with $24 million of cash on hand. Well, and I also like to showcase Ruger as a business that's doing great business. They're cash flow positive. They have lots of cash on hand. Very good way to run a business. They're not
especially in Connecticut,
up to their eyeballs in debt or anything. So my hat's off to Ruger for knowing how to run a good business.
So they're not like Smith & Wesson, who is trading at $12.95 a share.
Or not like Colt, who's borrowing money just to not go
stay afloat.
away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to skip the last two stories here. If you want to see them in the show notes, you can go to
the
This
high-profile killings, trigger rush to acquire private guns.
Well, that's a
story.
Okay, do you want to cover it?
No, I did want to cover for those not following along that not only does Jake know me so well that he put this article in there, but the sublink, because I'm like, where the hell is Kampala?
You don't know
yeah,
where
that's right. The second link is a
capital,
damn map.
Uganda.
Here is where Uganda is, Whitey. Oh, thanks. Like, that's perfect. I don't...
Oh my gosh. You really don't know where Uganda is.
No, listen, Flo.
That is not okay.
So here's what happened.
Okay.
No, I know where Uganda is.
The
article just says Kampala. It just says Kampala.
Uganda.
I know where Uganda is, blonde lady. What I'm saying is, it's just said
Blonde lady is smarter than you.
Oh my God.
They still teach geography, right?
Even if they did, we're talking 10, 20 years.
Is this why people tune in? Okay, so if you want to support the Firearms Radio Network and buy yourself an atlas at Amazon.com, you can do that. So just follow our handy affiliate link, Whitey, and you can buy your atlas at Amazon.com.
I'm just going to GoFundMe so I can go to Uganda and sprinkle firearms everywhere.
They need it. Good Lord, they need it badly.
We are to the full auto news segment, stories the real media won't talk about, and other crazy stuff. So this is where we each pick a story to call our own. Who's ready to go first?
Do I even need to click on this link for Dan Bilzerian and get serious?
No,
you
don't. Don't need to click.
Is this where he throws some woman off a balcony?
By her lady parts? I don't think that's this one.
If it says Dan Bilzerian, just pass. Immediately
just
pass.
Assume.
Because you can't unsee that crap. You can't.
Listen, as a male, I may not want to unsee that crap.
Okay.
We are simple creatures.
All right, I'm going to go first while you guys pick your story. So, hero concealed carrier shoots carjacker, saves woman. So this happened at a car wash in Georgia where this kid, basically a kid, jumps, he's like 17 or 18, he jumps in this woman's car as she's like vacuuming, out the car or something, and carjacks it, and she jumps on the hood. She's like laying on the hood. There's some video of it, and he's driving out of the car wash with her laying on the hood, like trying to save her car, and this other guy vacuuming out his car turns around and he's like, holy crap, and he runs after it and pulls out his carry gun and shoots a carjacker, stops it right then and there. And so pretty crazy incident, and really quick thinking on his part. I was thinking about,
but did he do the right thing?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. It's such a tricky situation there. I think if I was there, I would have been like, what the heck is going on? I don't know that I would have been able to act as quickly as he, because sometimes you see something and you're like, am I really seeing that?
Am I being punked? Is this a YouTube viral video?
Yeah.
Well, and he was super safe about it. I mean, I saw, there's a video. You can watch him, do the draw. He clearly had a lot of training, but I mean, in California, that would have gotten me thrown in jail if I had shot somebody. If
you thought about it.
If I thought about it, that's exactly right. So, especially in Los Angeles County. So, did he do? Where was he? Sorry, I didn't even see.
Georgia.
Oh, well, there you go. So, he's being hailed as a hero, right? But
yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think he did the right thing? It's sad that you have to geographically, you have to base this on laws geographically. I mean, it really is, but it's true.
I agree with that a little bit. I think we all have to realize that America is a big, big country, and we're down to have. I mean, you can't go to a high school without running into 16 different cliques. It's not uncommon for us to have as large a country and as big a population as we have and not have. I mean, look, you said it yourself, Southern California. How about the Northeast? I mean, all these different places that have different viewpoints, and it is what it is. But would I have done that? If I didn't clearly know, I probably would have just been like, what the hell is going on over there?
Well, and did that situation warrant a firearm? Right? Because nobody's life was really at risk except for the lady who jumped on top of the car. It was her car, but that was her choice, too. I don't know.
And that's where I'd like Adam's opinion, because motor vehicle is considered, I believe, a deadly weapon when kind of pointed at you, but at that point it's not you. Would you be saving somebody else's life? Like, I don't know. That's where the legal team's got to come in.
Right.
That depends on the state law. You can in Pennsylvania, for instance, you can step into you can defend a third party if in theory you were in their shoes, you would be able to legally defend yourself. That being said, there's all kinds of, say I'm walking down the street and I turn and I see the middle of the altercation and it looks like somebody's about to get hurt. Do I draw my gun and shoot the other person? Well, if I do that, what happens if that person was the person I shot wasn't the initial aggressor, but was in fact the person defending themselves?
Right.
I just feel like it's trying to do the right thing is a very positive thing in my mind, and there's not enough people who try to do the right thing anymore. But that being said, employing deadly force in a situation where you have no idea what's going on, you got to be really careful about that. That's not something that I would necessarily ever think to do. Maybe trying to intervene in other ways, try to provide assistance, obviously notifying the authorities, let them handle it. But as far as pulling out a gun and going to town that way, not, if I don't know who's involved, definitely not. That's not coming into play.
Right, because there could be a lot of situations where there could be an undercover officer, and if that situation goes bad, at certain instances, that undercover officer can appear as being the bad guy. And then what? You shot a cop?
It's just a recipe for disaster, and I'm not of the mind your own business crowd necessarily, but you got to use your head, and you got to think.
So we have this tension here because we want to be a community that looks out for each other and helps each other. Be I don't know, more like Andy Griffith, where everyone's looking out for each other, and evil is obviously evil. It's like that's obviously not right. That something's going on here, but it's not always so obvious in our current world.
That's right.
All right,
and that's the kind of thing they drill into your brain too. Anytime you're taking a concealed carry class. Right? Like, things are rarely what they appear. Well, not necessarily rarely, but they could very well not be what they appear. So I think it's pretty tricky. Unless your life is in imminent danger. I mean, what I've been taught in my concealed carry classes is you do not pull out that gun, But that's California, so.
And in real life, Natalie, due to her low bandwidth, does not appear to be a Minecraft character. All right, Adam, do you have a story?
Yeah, I'll do the least exciting one, probably next to Mr. Bill Zarian there. Whatever crazy life he's living today. Taurus Curve is being recalled already, and that's because somebody at the factory forgot to engrave the caliber. Yeah, so firearms imported into the United States are legally required to possess caliber markings at a certain depth, and it seems that somebody neglected to do so. So Taurus is apparently trying to hunt these guns down, get them back, and engrave them or replace them. Something along those lines. That might be a neat collector's piece. That's not legal advice either.
And someone says, if it wasn't a Taurus.
Well, I mean, think about it. It's going to be the only prototype gun that made it to the market for a short period of time before it disappeared.
I wish Chaos was here right now because he wants to hate this thing so much. I'm glad that it wasn't an actual mechanical defect or some kind of craziness. That it was an actual law thing where it's nope, it's got to say 9mm on the barrel like a jackwagon.
That's what, when I originally heard the story a couple days ago, before I looked at the story, I figured, here we go, we're already having mechanical problems. I mean, Taurus doesn't have the best reputation for the semi-autos. The revolvers are not much better, but they seem to have a better reputation. I picked one of these up at SHOT Show, and I was surprised that it wasn't as bad feeling as I had expected it to be. That said, I didn't shoot one. It's nothing I would buy. doesn't suit mine. You know, I try and carry the biggest gun I possibly can. So
Can I conceal it in a tube sock with high tops?
yeah, probably.
So does it come with? It looks like it comes with a trigger guard, like holster clip thingy. This is the Digit by Works, but it looks like it comes with this and a belt clip attached to the gun's frame. Is that how they come?
I've never seen one. We haven't gotten. We don't stock TARs.
So,
Wow.
so that I don't know. That almost concerns me a little bit because this is a gun, almost like a gun. It's not geared towards the hardcore gun guy.
What's the trigger pull is what I want to know.
And so, like, I don't know, are they advocating Mexican carry here, or I don't know.
Is Mexican carry?
No holster.
Was that racist?
Yeah, probably. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you offended somebody there.
Maybe in California.
Yeah,
Yuck,
probably.
yuck.
Yuck, yuck.
All right, Natalie, what do you have?
Oh, I think the church thing is the most. That's mine for the night. I saw the video of this earlier this week too, where this guy, there's like a handoff. There's a handoff of a gun at Easter service in church, and then the gun goes off. Like it actually goes off in the middle of the sermon, and the guy's like hiding it in his Easter program. But somebody then catches him, literally, and then somebody like sees it, and they get video of this guy. If you don't realize in this day and age that everything you do in a public space, often private as well, is going to be recorded, I'm sorry, it's on you. Like, that's just absolutely ridiculous. But then he has a negligent discharge on top of all that in church. I mean, of course, God's probably just laughing. It didn't hurt anybody, thank goodness. Well, I think he got grazed, right? I need to read it again.
You mean you've never had a church pop before? I thought everybody did that.
Dynamite dropping.
Anyway, I found this one. I'm sorry. That's just, that's what you get. But then it was really.
Why were they passing guns around church? I mean,
that's like next level gun nut right there. It's like we're doing private sales in a church now.
Just put the money in the collection basket. I'll pull it out when
man,
it gets around.
My schedule's all jammed up. I don't know. What are you doing Saturday? I can't do it. I got this thing. Oh, what about Monday? I can't do it. Hey, you going to Easter service? Oh yeah, just bring it there. We'll stick it in like a thing, and I'll take pictures and I'll do the research.
We can't do it there. My wife will see it. No, we'll hide it in the hymnal, or we'll hide it in the.
Yeah. Brilliant.
All right, Josh, what do you have?
Actually, something that I was very grateful was in the show notes here, because I think it was either last week or the week before we had brought up the school zone, and we were looking for, it might have even been several weeks ago, we were looking for the little subheading that was like, well, unless you're a legal concealed carry permit holder or whatever in your state, that you are legally allowed to carry in a school zone, because that happened like right out here in New Hampshire on the other side. And I'm happy, Adam's here, because Tennessee is bans squirt guns within 150 feet of schools. So as ridiculous as that sounds, that we not even guns, we're ban squirt guns. It flat out highlights in this article the same exact thing we were talking about, that if you are legal to carry in your state and or town or whatever the case may be, does that facilitate said water pistol, or does this just mean there'll be no illegal water pistols? Like, I'm so confused as to what's going on here.
You just can't fix stupid. There's just no solution to it. I'm convinced. Give me a minute to read the article here so I can kind of try to understand what you were asking. Is the question if you have a carry permit that you be able to carry a fake weapon, including a water pistol?
I think I got lit up last week because I didn't fully highlight the complete 100% legality of any particular law, since I'm not a lawyer, but gave people a rough outline and said go to your research. So since we have a lawyer here, if you are a concealed carry permit holder, concealed carry weapon holder, whatever it is in your particular state that allows you to conceal carry a firearm, does the gun-free or no school zone or the gun zone school laws, whatever that may be, does that still apply to you? And if that's the case, does it apply to water pistols as well?
First of all, I'm only licensed in Pennsylvania, so I can only speak to Pennsylvania law. Let me just caveat that with that. In Pennsylvania, the statute reads, and I'd have to look it up, but it reads along the lines of if you're for legal purposes or something along those lines. And it hasn't been decided by any court because I believe there's been one instance that I'm aware of where a gentleman was, I believe, arrested and then got ARD or something like that, accelerated rehabilitative disposition, so it never went on his record and a court never issued an opinion on it. So it's never been decided by a court in Pennsylvania whether or not having a license to carry a firearm is a legal purpose for the purposes of carrying on a school ground. So I don't know. It's going to vary, I think, state to state. If you're talking about the federal provision, again, I don't know because I haven't looked into it. So for me to try and answer that without having done the research, I'm either going to give you the wrong answer or I'm just going to sound like an idiot. I'd like to avoid both of those if possible. So the squirt gun, however...
hypothetically, if a client of yours had a super soaker and no, joking. So,
right. So here I'll put the link in the to the wiki into the internal chat, and then Jake can decide if he wants to add that to the, because it's Wikipedia and some people hate it, some people swear by it, but that's got the
it's 18 USC 922.
That's more what I was referring to.
Right.
With the little SS squiggly, whatever.
Yeah, that's section 922.
Oh, that's a funny symbol for section.
Yeah.
So
are we really talking about this?
You know what? Whatever, Jake. I didn't put it in the show notes. This is your full auto fun time.
All right.
Well, saying the exception does not apply to possession of a firearm on private property not part of school grounds. Blah 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 blah.
Well, I think the problem here is that a squirt gun is not a firearm. So even if you're allowed to legally carry a firearm in that zone, you need a separate permit for a squirt gun.
It depends how your state defines firearm.
That's true.
Go to the superintendent of schools for that one, or
go to your legislator and tell them that's idiotic. Squirt guns for everybody on school property. How are kids supposed to have fun these days?
Molon Labe, mother. Never mind.
All right. Well, that wraps up the full auto news segment. There's some other stories here if you guys want to check them out online. And that brings us to Patreon. Patreon is an easy way for you to show your support for pro-gun radio like this. You can pledge $1 or $5 per episode at patreon.com/week. And that helps us keep these shows free and coming at you. And some great companies have thrown their support behind This Week in Guns, and I'll be sending out some random battle boxes full of swag to patrons of This Week in Guns from companies like MS Clean, Duluth Trading, GunGoddess.com, and Duke Cannon Supply Company. Quick note on MS Clean kits, they have their Kickstarter, which has like 60 hours left or something like that. They're only about 7,000 away from their goal, so I encourage you to head over to Kickstarter and look up MS Clean and pledge your support. Help those guys meet their goal. It'd be very cool if they could do that. So, anyways, patreon.com/week to throw your support behind This Week in Guns. And Firearms Radio Network also has a Patreon at patreon.com/FRN. You can support $1 to $5 per month to support the network as a whole. So that about wraps us up. Adam, thank you so much for joining us. And where can people find more from you?
Well, thanks for having me. People can find me in a variety of different places, actually. There is a link to the blog, the Prince Law blog, where myself and other attorneys write blog articles. Myself and attorney Joshua Prince, the chief counsel of Firearms Industry Consulting Group, write stuff about firearms most of the time. You will find some other stuff related to Pennsylvania law that you may not be interested in, but it's there if you are. I occasionally get stuff published on Breach Bang Clear. So that's pretty much it for right now. And you can find me here on This Week in Guns every now and then.
Absolutely. So, Natalie, thank you so much for joining us. What's going on with Girls Guide to Guns?
We've got some, of course, I've got my jewelry always for sale there. And then I've also got my guns with Devil Dog Arms. So you can, if you're going to be in Nashville, come and visit us. I will be there most of the day on Saturday at the Pelican Products and Devil Dog booth. So I'd love to see you. Come by and say hello. And yeah, that's the big stuff. Oh, and while we're asking for money, another really worthy cause besides MS Clean Kits and, of course, this lovely radio program is a documentary that Billy Johnson of Amidst the Noise is doing, and he's also doing, I can't remember if it's GoFundMe or Kickstarter or Indiegogo.
Kickstarter.
Thank you, Kickstarter. Anyway, he's awesome, and he's going to make something absolutely groundbreaking and amazing, and that will sway a lot of people. So I think that's a worthy cause for any extra dollars you may have.
Very cool. Well, that's about takes us to Josh, Four Guys Guns. Muted Josh.
I was muted. All right, so FGG members, we may or may not, hint, hint, be having a pretty big sale soon, so we can see how far we can actually reach with that, which is great because it gives people a lot of good stepping stones to get started towards the path of firearms training. We want everyone to be an armed and responsible citizen, and that means knowing exactly what you should be doing. All that aside, you can find us everywhere at Four Guys Guns, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever it may be. But enough of me. We have coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks a very personally means actually a lot to me. I get to work with a lot of veterans. I get to work with a lot of active duty and current military people, and it's funny because I had a conversation with somebody that said no one really cares about Marines, and I do. A lot of the greatest people I know are Marines, and my buddy Nick Smith from Weaponcraft is actually putting on a memorial shoot that we've been kind of talking about and promoting on and off. 100% of the proceeds are going towards Raider Project and the families to help those that were recently lost in that chopper crash down in Florida. It's being held down at the C2 Shooting Center down in Virginia. There are still, I believe, like 8 or 10 seats left, which is great because not only have we raised a good amount already, but we are also able to raise more. The donation is coming from all of your, if you pay to be in the class, going. It's all coming out of Nick's pocket for a range time. C2 has donated the actual facilities. Four Guys Guns has made a Fallen Raider patch to go to everyone who's taking the course, as well as those who can't attend and they still want to show their support. 100% of all proceeds from that are also going to the Raider Project. Pipe Hitters Union, they're doing an awesome shirt that's already done so well, and by all means check them out. And all this together is, I think right now, last we checked, we just wanted to do something, whether it was $5,000, something like that. And I think today we said something like $16,000 has already been raised. So if you can, if you to help support Marines, especially when Marines feel like they don't even deserve support, I mean, hell, that's they don't call them devil dogs because they're America's poodles. I mean, that's our teeth. So you can check it out at tiny.cc/Marsoc Memorial. That's MARSOC MEMORIAL. Look at that, Whitey can spell. If you wanted to buy the patch, it's at store.fourguysguns.com, pipehittersunion.com. You can get the Marsoc Memorial shirt. Show your support any way you can. And if you can make it, I'll be on the line shooting right next to you. So give us a shout, check them out, sign up for the course, show your support, and that's about all I have.
Very cool. We can you can find all the links we're talking about in this episode at thisweekinguns.com/112. And don't forget to leave us that iTunes review. And also remember you can contribute to This Week in Guns by shopping Brownells with our affiliate link, and also Amazon with our affiliate links. So that's a wrap, and we'll see you next week.